Welcome, and this is Open Conversations with International Coaches. It is February 8th, 2024. Just three of us today here to share. We'll go through introductions, and Shelley Ann, you go ahead first today.
Hi, thank you so much. And welcome to those of you who are looking at us live. We appreciate it. And we're absolutely grateful for those of you who take the time afterward to look at the recording. My name is Shelly Ann Edwards Barron, and I'm a gratitude guide and habit coach from Trinidad and Tobago. And so I really got into this because, like many people, when I hit 40, I kind of started really assessing where I was. And I realized that, there were lots of things that I wanted to do that I hadn't gotten done. And I began feeling lost and overwhelmed at the same time. It's a strange feeling. And then I started to add, okay, maybe I could try this, try that, try the other. And it did not work out until I encountered gratitude. So, this is why I share with my clients three aspects of gratitude. I show them how to say it right because it's important to manage the self talk. I show them how to say it loud so that they can get gratitude into that tangible space. And then I show them how to say it always, which is developing that habit of gratitude that lays the foundation for all the other habits that really get them where they need to go because gratitude is that keystone habit. And so when we work on those things, we enter what we call discipline, which is blending that bliss of life with the discipline that you need to get everything done. And every Thursday morning before this particular session, I also have another program on YouTube called Getting It Done with Gratitude, where I explore all sorts of different topics with gratitude and work and personal life with a colleague of mine named Karen Williams Thompson. And so, if you want to check that out and learn more about how gratitude can help you get to where you want to be and enjoy your life in the process, look for us on. I'm on LinkedIn. She's on LinkedIn. And of course, you can check out the channel on YouTube.
Awesome. You always just present so much wonderful ideas and news and content. Uh, Folks, if you're looking for a gratitude habit coach, Shelley Ann is the person to deal with. Cass, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Cass J. Henry. I am an abundance coach working out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and I offer my services both in person and virtually. As an abundance coach, it is my job to assist my clients in altering their perspective from one of lack to one of abundance. And together we'll discover the power of tools like affirmations, habit creation, mindset work, goal setting, experimentation, and journaling, just to name a few, with an overarching goal to achieve a more harmonious balance in life. If you find yourself feeling stuck, focusing on everything going wrong in your world right now, then reach out for and let's do a discovery call together. I'd love the opportunity to show you the abundance that's already in your own life right now. You can find me on castjhenry.com.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And my name is Stephen B. Henry. My friends call me Steve, and I certainly would hope you would as well. And I'm a multi niched coaching practitioner, which includes being a published author, a digital content creator, an online presence consultant and business success guide, and a personal development mentor. I work with men and women, mostly coaches, wanting to start or expand their online presence. I help them get unstuck in their personal and business lives so they can move forward on their own journey of success. I'm a Canadian, but currently living in the US. You can find me at stephenbhenry.com. And if you want to Google me, Stephen B. Henry, the full name, will find me on the monster of search engines. I actually prefer DuckDuckGo. That really is the name of a search engine. Give it a try, duckduckgo.com. I think you'll like it. I have no affiliation with it other than I'm a very happy user. And so today we're going to be talking about a purposeful pause, taking a pause that matters. Why does a pause matter? And what is a pause? What are we actually talking about here? I think this is a little bit of uh, kind of a detour, I suppose, from the week to week things that we've been doing. I think it really underlies everything we've been talking about as a necessity in our activities, both us as coaches and people who need coaches are running some other business, an online profession of any kind, from retail to author to coach to even a lawyer. I have recently connected with an online lawyer, which is quite an interesting concept. And so we have all of these different possibilities here where we get involved, get busy, and then it's probably a good idea from time to time to take a pause. What do you think, Cass?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the even the definition of pause, a temporary stop in action. So the idea that like we're always moving, we're always in action, we're always going from one thing to the next. And if we don't take a time to pause in the now, in that mindfulness moment, to really just breathe and let go and relax, then we're too caught up in everything that's going on, and it can end up pretty stressful.
Yeah, and that whole stress thing, we've talked about that before, and we'll probably focus on it again in the future. Um, when it comes to stress and overwhelm, something that I've been, personal with just recently, um, that pause allows you to kind of redirect and change and refocus. I think is a good term that you can't do while you're in mid stride. It's difficult. Shelley Ann.
Yeah, I was thinking something along those lines in terms of, pausing the momentum so that you can observe what's happening and what actually is taking place. And for me, this is what gratitude does and how I use gratitude every morning, every day to pause before I kind of launch into the day and all the to-dos and the to-wants and all those other things. Um, I tried to really just enjoy that moment of what exists, and gratitude helps me, pause and experience that. And so when we talk about pausing, I think the pause itself remains the same in terms of that, pausing and breathing and experiencing, but the reasons we might pause are sometimes quite different. So when we're feeling overwhelmed, we pause so that we can regroup and gather ourselves and our thoughts. But also when we have celebrations, we can pause to really enjoy the moments and those kinds of things. So overall, it is such an integral part of everything, whether we're trying to deal with something or just simply appreciating something, pause becomes necessary.
Let me explore something. Two things that you said there. One towards the beginning and one towards the end. In the latter part, you seem to be talking about the traditional pause that things happen, you
Yeah.
come upon a point where you need to pause to regroup or whatever it is, or to enjoy the celebration, this sort of thing. But at the beginning, did I understand you to say that you actually schedule pauses? You make them a habit? Just
Yes.
please talk a little bit more about that. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, it's something that I learned to do when I dealt with my own series of overwhelm and anxiety, and I realized that I'm not the type of person who would naturally pause. So many people naturally pause for celebrations. I don't. Many people naturally pause when they've completed something and they're moving on to something else. My mind is totally task oriented, and it's like everything is a checklist and I'm on to the next item. And if something happens and I'm dealing with it, but I used to deal with it on the go as well because I'm on to the next item. And I'm always thinking about what to do, what to get done, which is why my program is called Getting It Done with Gratitude, because that is sort of like the inherent pause in the situation that really helps us get it done with joy. And so I have to schedule the the pause. So the pause to me now is a habit, and I use the time to breathe and to meditate and to list the things that I'm grateful for, so that when get going again, it is from a position of peace and joy and contentment.
I really like that. Just a second, Cass. I just want to share. I'm making notes and I'm adding pause to my to-do list. I like that. Go ahead,
That's
Cass. Sorry.
excellent. Yeah, I was just going to say that pausing is part of self care. You know, checking in with yourself. How are you doing? Are you ready to move on? That piece. And what I actually came across was the term preventative care, which I really like when it comes to pause. The idea that if you don't pause now, you're going to burn out later or likely to burn out later. And so working those scheduled pauses in multiple times to whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's, you know, taking your 25 minutes if you use the Pomodoro technique, which I think we talked about before. And that's where you decide on a task, you set a timer, you work to the task for that timer, and then you take a very specific pause, 2 to 5 minutes. And then after you've done a 4 of those, then you take a much longer break and decide if you're coming back to the same task. So yeah, scheduling that in, and especially earlier in your day and later in your day, you know, sandwiching your day with those 2 really big pauses where you reflect on how your day is going to go and how your day went. I think Shelly Ann does a lot of that with your day timer that you have going.
Yeah, yeah, I do. With the planner, what I do in the morning, I do affirmations and gratitude, and I list three. And I tell my clients, when you get into it and you start noticing all the things that you are grateful for, the tendency is to want to write more. But I recommend sticking to the three, because as you stick to the three and you choose the ones that you want to document, the others will be bouncing around in your mind and constantly with you, and so you kind of get that legacy of gratitude that you take with you throughout the day. But then also at the end of the day, sometimes I do it at the end of the day, sometimes I do it at the next morning period. I actually pause to list the things that I appreciated and that I want to celebrate for that day. So, like this morning, I did it this morning and not yesterday evening. So, I wrote down the things that happened yesterday that I sincerely appreciated and wanted to record as something that I'm celebrating. Because, like I said, this isn't something that came naturally to me, and it always felt like I was going, always something to do, always something to get done. What is the next task? No time to breathe. And that really created such an overwhelming feeling that filtered into my life in ways that I didn't even recognize until I started pausing. And I thought, oh, so that's what was causing that. And, because I didn't get time to think or, really appreciate what was happening around me. And I was one of those people who was so proud of the fact that I never took vacation. I didn't take any sick day, and I never took a casual day from work. And I was proud of that until I realized that that's not such a good thing.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have
some of
those for a
the
purpose.
Some of the signs that you need to take a break are things like changes in eating habits. You're upset about your work. You have a hard time concentrating. You're getting sick often and you just can't seem to get well. You
Just
don't have
check,
any
check,
energy,
check,
no
check.
motivation, low mood, frustration. Your body feels not good. You might have poor performance at work. Sleep is a really big one if you're not sleeping
Mhm.
well, or if you revert to things like feeding habits, whether it's food, drugs, sex, whatever it might be, where you're just those things are taking over. These are all signs that you need a break.
Yeah.
You need a
All of the
time
above.
off, you need downtime, you need probably a vacation.
Yep.
Maybe like that's a type of a break, right? And even if you
Yeah.
do like a staycation, right? Set your emails to an away as though you'd gone away. Don't answer your work phones. Take a real long break, a long pause.
Yeah, so I was going to say all of the above plus irritability. I don't know if you'd mentioned that one, but irritability
Hmm.
that totally affected every single one of my relationships, relationships with kids, with husband, with family, and even with myself, not having patience with myself and, having that grace and compassion when things don't go according to plan. So there was this really general sense of distress happening. And while I was in it, I didn't really see it. I felt it. But then it started to feel like that's the norm, you know? Because people tell you if you're going after career and you're going toward your goals and you want to get this done by this age, then that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to burn the candle at both ends. You do what you need to do and what's necessary. But then I woke up one day and I wasn't enjoying my life. It was just pure misery. And I started thinking things like, why am I here? Is this what life is supposed to be like? It didn't sound like that when I read and I see other people looking like they're happy. Why can't I feel what they're feeling? And so it took a lot of searching, and that's when I realized the pause was part of the issue, but I couldn't do it. I just could not bring myself to pause. So I started looking for ways to help with that. And gratitude was my saving grace. Absolutely. That daily habit of gratitude was my saving grace. And so I started with just exploring what gratitude is and then making the lists, writing down things that I'm grateful for. And not only did that allow me to pause, it filled the pause with things that helped me keep in the pause because we could plan to pause, but then fill it with other things. So
Yeah.
we go on vacation and then we fill the vacation with all kinds of things. Everything is frantic and we're doing in the vacation. So when we're finished with vacation, we're tired.
And you need to get back home for a rest. But I happen to know
Yeah.
I happen to know that Shelly Ann is going on vacation. I think at the end of this week, and for a fairly extended vacation. So you will have a chance to,
Oh,
if
yes.
not rest, at least a change, and that can be a
Hmm.
pause. It's a pause of what you've been doing, even if you're doing other things. So that can be quite good. Um, and just so everybody knows, I believe that Shelly Ann will be joining us regularly from her vacation location as we go.
Yes, that's the
Um,
plan.
yeah, and I really think that there's kind of method in our madness here in dealing with the idea of pause. We we um, we need to work that into our life as we're going forward, um, because we need to be able to take that moment, and pauses can be very short or they can have longer duration. And sometimes we
Mhm.
take short pauses just between doing things to reflect on what we've just accomplished, kind of a mini celebration,
Yeah,
and
enough to
to,
dance. A
yeah,
little
if that's
jig in
all it is,
between.
just that little momentary, yes. And so, whatever it is, that's in essence is a pause or a break. It's a break in the flow, and
Mhm.
sometimes a break in the flow is really good because as we go along in the flow, we tend to pick up extraneous things that weren't part of our plan, weren't part of our goal, weren't part of our strategy, but they start to burden upon us and weigh us down. And that break in the flow lets us shed a lot of that and regenerate the flow in a cleaner, pure
Yeah.
approach. And it's subtle. It's almost it is subconscious, but it's almost totally subconscious. But it happens, and when we get into the level of doing that in a comfortable way, in a habit that occurs almost automatically, it's a powerful regenerative thing. I had to be reminded of that this week, and thank you guys, because it was in a discussion with Cass and Shelly Ann that things were shared with me that I know. Oh, come on, I know this stuff. I teach it, but I wasn't applying it to myself. I was getting caught up in what I was doing without the self reflection. And it's amazing when I step back. You guys made me step back and focus and start a list to bring things under control and organization again. And man, is that ever awesome? Is that ever powerful? So, for those of you listening to us talking today, understand that, you know, it happens to everybody, us included, but we have to make those moments of change, those moments of acceptance. And you can do it too. And if you're having trouble doing it, reach out to someone you trust, reaching out, asking for help, mentioning that you have a problem. Like that's a powerful it's a powerful medicine is what it is. It allows you to realize, to actually come to grips with what it is, which puts a whole new focus on it. So you've been kind of in a haze and a struggle, and things are happening. And when you reach out to someone else, the act of reaching out itself first gets you to a place, to a state that is open and accepting. And then having to explain to somebody, to name what it is, that takes some internal thought, some self-reflection. Like, what am I really feeling? What am I going to tell this person? What am I going to share? And then when you actually share it and you hear yourself saying it, that puts a whole new perspective on it as well. You're looking at it in a different view than it has been when it has been burdening you and pushing you down. You're now free to look at it in itself and then take action. And with suggestions and help and recommendations and just good wishes from people that you have asked for help, that's really cool. And if you ask somebody for help and they give you grief, just get out of there, turn away, find somebody else. Good people are willing to help. They're willing to listen. They're willing to understand, to take the time to share and to offer help and to guide you into help if they can't give it themselves. They'll tell you that and say, look, that's just not my thing, but there are people that do it. They may refer you to somebody, or they may just generally suggest that you do find somebody, and it's powerful. And all of that is actually a break. It's taking a break from what's overwhelming you or what is difficult for you or what you're struggling with. I mean, it doesn't have to be overwhelm. You can be struggling with a project just because some aspect of it isn't coming into clarity for you. And you're fully under control. Everything is fine. You're under control. You're living a great life. You're doing the stuff you should be doing. But this thing isn't happening. This one little thing, and it's holding you back. Take a break, reach out, talk to somebody about it, and just talking about it, you'll hear it in a different perspective than you've been looking at it. And the answer is probably right there. And if not, that other person can make suggestions and help you as well. So that little break is so powerful and so rewarding. Worth it.
Mhm. And that happens a lot with habit formation when we want to get something done and I mean now we're still in February and we have all these statistics about, these wonderful New Year's resolutions that are laid to rest during February. It happens when it's very helpful if you can chat with someone about it, especially someone who understands that process of habit formation, and then they could look at the situation for you and based on what you share, could help you see where you're having friction, where you might need to increase it or reduce it, and how you can find that balance to really help you get to where you're going. And one of the things, Steve, you were saying, I came back on the tail end of your presentation, but um, it occurred to me that taking the pause also allows you to not necessarily step outside of yourself, but step outside of the idea that life is happening to you, and you get to sort of objectively see the situation when you pause, because otherwise when you're caught up in the situation, um you tend to feel that things are happening to you and you have no control over it. I saw a TED talk yesterday where the researcher was saying, she was at, I think, UC Berkeley, and they have a huge department. Their psychology department studies gratitude and all those types of things. And so she was talking about how negativity influences, and negative statistics in particular influence the way people feel and how they operate. And so they did this study where they had their subjects and divided the group into two. One group, they told about a medical procedure and they said the medical procedure is 70% effective. Would is this something that you would appreciate? And so people had to choose yes or no if they liked it or not. And the other group, they said it was 30% ineffective or 30% failure. And then they judged how each group rated the procedure. And the group that was told 70% success rated the procedure higher in terms of whether or not they would take it than the group that was told 30% failure. And of course, 70-30 is the same thing, but just from a different perspective. And then they took it even further by then now telling the 70% group that if you look at it at 70% success, that's also 30% failure, right? And then this group, they stopped liking the procedure now that their perspective was changed to the failure rate. But the truth, the similar thing didn't happen with the group that was told 30% failure first. When they were told 70% success, they were like, yeah, but it's still 30% failure because they already had that failure knowledge. So they didn't change to like it anymore. And so what happened is that the concept and the perspective of the negativity and the focus on failure versus success, the focus on failure has a stronger impact.
Mm.
And so we do have to kind of deliberately, intentionally work on our thoughts and our attitudes if it is we're more prone to the negativity, because it's not going to be a natural switch. It really is not going to be a
Absolutely,
natural switch.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I do in my business is work with people who are looking at lack in their life, that negative perspective that stains
Yeah.
them really, and it
Yeah.
continues on. And then, you start looking negatively at one thing and you look negatively at the next thing too, and things start coming at you and happening to you, and you're just stuck in that lack. And if you can take a pause and reevaluate what you're doing. And oftentimes you need to reach out to somebody like a coach or a mentor or a good friend, and look at that from a totally different perspective. Just flip to abundance, where
Hmm.
you are saying, look, this is the same statistic, 30 and 70, and even though in that particular study it was presented differently, you can choose how you look at that.
Yeah.
You get to be the control of your own study of life, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely a whole different um, mindset is the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for,
And
just
it's
to be
not as
able to look
simple.
at that.
And it's not as simple as telling someone, oh, think of it differently. And that's
No,
why I
absolutely.
agree with you. I would actually recommend a coach or a mentor and not just a trusted friend, unless that trusted friend really understands these things. Because sometimes we go to friends and they say, oh, just look at it positively. But it's not that simple, because the
No,
research is showing that once the failure concept is there and the negativity is there, it's not simply a matter of being told. that you can see
Yeah.
it differently. You have to go
Yeah.
through a process. And I know, Cass, you have a system that you take your clients through, because we do need to, support and scaffold through these kinds of things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why I use the word stain. It's like you're rubbing out that stain of negativity. It takes
Yeah.
you through these different tools. What are the different things we need to use in order to be able to have a clean slate to build upon?
Does that make you the bleach or the borax? Or, yeah. Let me jump in here with a small break because I want to pick up on something that Cass said quite a bit earlier, and I had written it down, but we got into this wonderful discussion, so I overlooked it for a moment. But I'm gonna make a break and put this in. Cass, you offered up a softball to Shelly Ann, and she did not pick up on it, so I'm going to come straight out and ask her to pick up on it. Um, Shelly Ann, you have this marvelous planner, this day tracker system that you have. Could you tell people where they can find out more about it and where they can get one for themselves? I know it's a 2024 planner and we're into 2024 by a month and
Yeah.
a week,
Yeah.
but it's worth the price to get it now and move forward with it for the rest of the year. This is awesome. Where can we get it?
Yeah, so it is going to be available to the public in March, because right now I have the quarter planner done, but we're already almost a month and a half into the quarter, so I'm breaking it out into month, so I'll be like middle of this month, you'd be able to get the March. But I have I have mine. Mine is a desk copy, because this is the quarter version. It's a desk copy. And so, if you want a copy, definitely reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Shelly Ann Edwards Barron. It's the only Shelly Ann Edwards Barron spelled the way my name is spelled. So with the E before the Y. And you're not going to see that Edwards Barron anywhere else combination with Shelly Ann next to it. So if you find that, you'll find me once you look for my name. So
Awesome.
reach out, message me, and we can take it from there. But it's going to be available publicly middle February, going into March, where you can get your own copy. And the features of it that relate to what we're talking about, because there are quite a few things. I did it originally for me, and I've been using it for about 3, 4 years now. And so it has gone through lots of different incarnations. And this version is the one that I'm going to release to the public, because it has been the most beneficial one for me. And so that's why I think it's ready now to be released. And so, in addition to planning ahead and, those kinds of things, the feature that I work the most and that helps me the most is I'm just going to show. So this column here is where I write the positive statements, gratitude, and then the celebrations. And so that is on every single page for the daily part of the planner. And it's something that I do every day. And at the beginning, I believe in the consistency and repetition. So I have some set statements that I write every day. And so every morning I write, today is a beautiful day of opportunity. I am exactly where I need to be. I open my heart to God and trust in the unfolding of my life. I am whole. I am perfect. I am strong. I am powerful. I am loving. I am harmonious. I am happy. I am enough every single day. First thing in the morning, I get up, do the bathroom thing, and then when I sit at my desk, that's what I write. Every single day, same thing. The gratitude I mix up from time to time depending on what is, on my mind, but those positive statements, they really do ground me. And then when I move on to like today, I spoke about I made a note of what I celebrated from yesterday, some days it's grand, like, signing a new client, doing a consultation, getting an editing job, having a student say, her mom told me, this is one that I wrote down. One of my students, her mom told me yesterday at the end of class, she said, I want to speak to you for a moment. I said, okay, thinking that she had lots of questions. She said, I wanted to tell you that my daughter told me that for the first time, she's actually understanding how to write stories. She's understanding narratives. And she was so excited. And I've never seen her excited like that about writing. And that is like a huge, huge win for me. And because lots of students, they hate writing, and so I infuse everything that I do with gratitude because of how much it has impacted my life. So when I deal with students, I ask them, what are you grateful for today? You went to, I do evening classes, so I ask them, how was school? What happened that was, really great in school? What did you enjoy at school? What are you celebrating about what you did at school today? And I ask them these kinds of questions. So when I talk about like gratitude guide and habit coach, I have them separate because I do habit coaching for people who are interested in establishing habits. But being a gratitude guide is like part of me. So everything I do is infused with that gratitude because I think it's so fundamentally important.
Awesome, absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sorry to,
thank
sorry
you
to
for
say
that. I got it, but I said, I wouldn't mention it. And this is the part of me that doesn't celebrate the things.
yeah,
And this is why you need people like Stephen in your life, people who are watching, audience out there. You need somebody in your corner who could call you out and say, "Hey, you didn't notice this?"
yeah. We are not here to be a pitch fest. That's, we're not going to have 15 minutes of a free webinar and then get into our big program that we're going to offer. That's not what we're here for. We are truly here to share and to share with each other, the panel, and also to share with the people that are watching either live or in replays. Um, and generally, for those who've been and seen us in the past, the whole hour is giving, and we're glad to give. But I just, having seen that earlier this week, and then seeing the setup that was there, Cass didn't mean it as
I
a.
tried. No, I did. I
Oh, you
tried.
did? Okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Good for you then. I'm glad I picked up on it. And Shelley Ann, it is of such value. I can't stress it. It's such value to the people that are watching that you guys need to, look this up. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do to sweeten the pot a little bit. Anybody who is watching this and who is interested in Shelley Ann's planner when it comes out, and this is not contingent on you buying it, but just the the expression and the interest. Um, I have a book that I put out recently called Morning Pages, which is on the topic of journaling first thing in the morning in a certain special way. And I think the book really covers the topic pretty well. It's a guide or a handbook for that process. It's not my process. It's not my original process. It was done by somebody else who has a whole series of books and workbooks on the topic. I've just distilled it down to my own interpretation, my own understanding of it to share. And I sell that book, for $20. I'll give a free copy to anybody that asks for it. Just DM me on Facebook or put a comment in. If you're in the With Stephen B. Henry group, put a comment. Anywhere else this video is showing, please, whoever's showing the video, if you're sharing it and somebody makes a comment asking for the free book, pass it along to me because I won't be in all of those places. I know Shelley Ann and Cass will. But I want to offer that to you as a starting point. I immediately, when I saw earlier in the week, I saw Shelley Ann's book. She went through it page by page with us. And I just thought, oh my goodness, so many bits of that work with Morning Pages as the starting point. what a combination that would make. So please feel free to ask me for a copy. I'll gladly give you a digital copy, a PDF file, for free. That's what I can offer.
That's really an awesome gift to people, I think. So I've read the book myself, so I agree. I wanted to bring in here something that I came across when it comes to pausing. I came across my feed a couple days ago, and then I came across it again today when I was doing pause-related research. And it's called, well, first of all, I want to say that I didn't look up the science of this, and I shared it with a friend who said, oh no, I don't believe in that stuff. So maybe it's a little woo-woo, but it's called a vagus nerve reset. And I just thought that I would maybe walk you through a really quick little demonstration. Feel free to follow along, Steve and Chillian, if you want, but you don't have to. If that's okay, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
it takes
go
just
ahead.
a couple
Yes,
minutes.
please. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so what you want to do first is you just want to, take a deep breath and calm.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to look to your left and see, don't hurt yourself, do it gentle, but see how far you can look to your left. And then come back to center, and you're going to look to your right. And you're just moving your neck, your head. You want to see how far you can go to the right, but don't hurt yourself. Don't push it. And then you come back to center. And then what we're going to do is you're going to lace your fingers and you're going to put them behind your head. And you just want to cup the back of your skull there, and you're just sort of holding it. You might feel a little bit of a forward push, but you're not moving anything. And now you're holding your head in position. And while you're doing that, you don't want to move your head. This time we're going to just use your eyes, and you're going to look to the left. And you're going to try and push it as far as you can to look to the left. Don't hurt yourself, but look as far to the left without moving your head, and hold it there. And we're going to hold it for about 15 to 20 seconds. And so I've already been talking, so I'm just going to sort of count quietly up to 10 in my head here. Okay, and then you can come back to center again. And now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. Just look all the way to the right with only your eyes, and sort of as far to the right as you can possibly look without hurting yourself. And just hold it there. And just keep looking. And it always happens to me on one of them. I get a yawn that comes. You can come back to center and bring your hands down. And I don't know if any of you felt sort of an extra swallow or an extra breathe in that you had to do while you were doing that. Now, if you turn your head to your left slowly and see if it goes back. Does it go back further than it did before we started? And if you do the other side, and back to center, can you you have more range of motion? And that, at least I did anyways. I hope that you did too.
Yeah.
And
For me,
that's
the tension in my neck was a lot less.
yeah, so it's supposed to have released your vagus nerve. I did not ask a doctor if that works. I just saw a lovely little YouTube video. I went and watched another couple of them. Some people do it laying down, some people do it sitting up. And it's supposed to be something you do when you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, stuck. You need a pause. You can take a pause and do this vagus nerve reset. And that's a couple minutes. Sort of shake it out, and then you can get back to what you're doing.
And for those of us who don't know what the vagus nerve is.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, you could go ahead. So Steve, I think you would be the best person.
Oh,
yeah, I looked it up, but
go ahead.
Go ahead, Chillian.
Yeah. So it is a system of nerves that carries signals between your brain, heart, and digestive system. And according to the image on the diagram, it sort of runs from your brain stem going down toward that direction. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
And
that's a layman's version of all the technical stuff that's on my screen right now.
yeah, and certainly it would seem logical that the motions we just went through apply to that area. Um,
Hmm.
and whether it's technically and scientifically accurate or not, it seems logical. And therefore, if nothing else, the placebo effect will come into play, and you can have positive response. That is interesting. Is that a new word? Positive,
Oh,
Puspeitive.
yeah, we need to
Yeah,
write that down. We need to write
yeah,
that down. Make sure it shows up again
Bliss,
and again.
yeah.
Blissipin and positive.
Elicitive and
Yeah.
positive. Yeah, yeah. Because that's what we're really talking about here is being positive. Bringing pause into our experience, and that's really amazingly powerful. Uh, I'm actually feeling much more relaxed after doing that. It's great. It just, yeah, it just kind of calms you. It's
Yeah.
we talk about meditation and yoga and all these different things. This is another one, for the books. If you out there in TV land, if you if you don't do yoga, you don't like meditation, you can't really get into it. Well, here's a short little exercise that's got some positive effect to it, even if it's just taking the pause to do it. Right? I mean, that's got to have some value
Exactly.
there.
It's a little bit of movement, it's a little bit of mindfulness, and it's a little bit of pause. So those three benefits right there are just great.
Yeah,
If it does nothing else.
yeah.
Mhm.
It. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, sometimes when we have these conversations, one of the things that comes up in my mind is that person who asks, "Yeah, all of this is wonderful, but where do I start?" We want to have that teeny tiny step forward because we're all talking about developing habits that change our mindsets and keep us within those productive and positive mindsets, right? So how do we begin and what do we do next? And this is a very, very practical, simple. And how long did it take us to do it? Like
Three
about a
minutes or
minute, two,
less.
3 minutes? Yeah.
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 Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you're looking for the
Yeah.
simple way to start, this is it.
yeah. People are looking for the one thing that they can do in 2 seconds and it'll fix everything. And I got to tell you, folks, there's no such thing. If you're looking for that, you're wasting your time. Take a break, rethink, and start, over. This is a great little thing to start with and then build from there. But that's the key is that you start with something, with anything, and then you build. And that's why it's
Mhm.
good to have a guide to work with you because they can guide you in these kinds of things. I have exercises that I work with. That's added to my list now. But I have, tried and true exercises that work, and different people. What is it they say? Different strokes for different folks. Different people are going to respond to different things, and that's partly where my experience and from that expertise comes in being able to identify what a particular person needs. I don't believe in one program fits all.
Mhm.
If you're getting a coach that is telling you what you need to do, that's maybe the wrong coach. You need coaches that inquire and listen and find out what it is you need to do, and then can deliver the answers. And sometimes the answer might be, listen, I really would love to work with you, but what you need, Cass can provide, or what you need, Shelly Ann can provide. Whoever it is that we're aware of in these various focus points in terms of coaching. Now, I'm more of a generalist, and I cover a broader perspective of these things. But I know that Cass and Shelly Ann both also cover a range of things, not just one narrow focus. And I strongly believe in that. You know, if you're looking for coaching, whether you're an individual professional or business person looking for that, or if you're a coach yourself, you should have a coach, and you want somebody who can deal with all of the things that are going to come up. It's called life. You know, you're a whole person. Shelley Ann used that term just before we came online here, and you are a whole person, and you need the coaching, the guidance, the mentoring that deals with your whole person. You don't want to just fix one particular piece or have one very narrow program that is going to sort of probably maybe be a be all and end all, which it isn't. So we need to do that. And when you understand that sort of thing, when you take a break in your thought processes and look at what it is you're trying to do and what it is that could help you, then you'll get it. You'll be on board.
One of the things that you had me thinking of while you were talking is that often we talk about people who are at work and they need to take a pause. They're going to take their 15 minutes or their lunch hour or whatever it is to take a pause. I just wanted to also remind people, when you work at home, when you're working remotely, it's
Yeah.
just as important to schedule those pauses. And being interrupted by your kids or your partner or the dog or the front door or the phone, that's a physical pause maybe from what you're doing, but it's not an intentional break. And that's what you want to do, is take an intentional pause and reflect, get a glass of water, whatever that's going to be, whatever it's going to work for you in that moment. But yeah, if you work from home, you need to do that too. If you're working out on the road, you need to do that too. If you are, out in the field, you still need to do that. Breaks and pauses are really important in wherever your workplace is.
And especially that bit that you added in about it being intentional, because sometimes, because there are breaks automatically scheduled where, one class ends and you have 20 minutes before the next one begins, or half an hour, and you head to your office and you do some paperwork. There's a pause between classes, but are you intentionally taking a mindfulness break and a whole body pause? Or are you just physically pausing and your mind is wandering? Or are you pausing your mind and your body is just actively doing things mindlessly? So we do want that combination. And to get that, at least at the beginning, when you're just starting out, when it becomes a habit, you'd have that cycle. But when you're just starting out, you have to intentionally do that and intentionally decide, hey, I am going to pause at this time for this long. Yeah.
It's purposeful, right? That's why we called
Yes.
this purposeful
Yes.
pause.
Purposeful
Yeah.
pause.
There's definitely purpose behind it.
I had the privilege of working at Motorola Corporation many years ago, and I was a manager there. I was in charge of the facilities administration for the campus that our company was on. Beautiful, beautiful parkland campus that the building sat on. And my associate, another manager in the same, in the same overall department, was the maintenance manager, and he was responsible for fixing things. He ran a department of people that did everything from changing light bulbs to building office space if necessary. And we would purposefully, once a day, at some point during the day, we couldn't, it wasn't a set time because things happen, but we were able to adjust the time and push it forward until we got the common time during the day. We would go out and walk the perimeter of the property together. And we did that, unless this was in just outside of Toronto, Canada, and Sometimes the winters were bad enough that we couldn't do it, but we would walk the inside perimeter of the building then instead. But we tried to go out and walk the perimeter of the property, even if there was snow on the ground. First of all, it was relaxing. It was good exercise for people who spend a lot of their time in a desk, in a desk chair in an office. So it was good exercise, fresh air, all of those good things. But it was also a chance to take a different perspective on what we were doing. We were seeing the property, the building from the outside in, instead of, as most of our daily time was spent, looking at it from the inside out. And it gave us probably some of the best ideas, some of the best solutions to problems that were in our head that we could discuss as we were walking. And, seeing it from two different perspectives, from the guy who worked with the stuff and the guy who worked with the ideas, getting together to share as we walked. What an amazing break, and we were never called on it, so we didn't have to justify it. But it was sort of an unusual situation. It took us. It was about 1.5 miles around the property, so it took a little bit of time. But it gave us that separation from the pressure of the whole day's routine that was, typically the same routine every day. Yes, there were different issues. Yes, there were different problems. But, we had to figure out all these things happening, and we were busy. And this gave us a break from it that re-energized us and revitalized us. And it was worth doing. And I do the same now from home. I'm sitting in an office in my home. This is a room that I'm in. I've got my trusty brick wall behind me, which is becoming a signature statement, I suppose. And I'm sitting at a desk, and I'm looking at my computer screen. The camera's on top of the computer. And, this is my place. This is where I do business from. I got all kinds of things in reach. There's shelves up the wall above the computer, and I'm facing a wall. It's routine, and I spend a lot of hours here doing the same old. But I get up periodically. Sometimes I'm working into the night, and it'll be 2 a.m. I'll be sitting here. I'll get up and I'll go out and I'll sit on the front porch, take a coffee with me, or sometimes Laura and I will go out and sit and talk, and it's a break. 15 minutes, change of perspective, change of headspace, just looking at it differently. What an amazing energizer that is. And I encourage everybody working from home to find those intentional breaks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're feeling stuck, stepping away just for a few minutes or 3, and then coming back, it makes you feel refreshed. It can give you clarity, and it can definitely boost your energy, your morale, your performance. It can be a big boon to whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And having that other person to have the conversation with, I think, and just the conversation, like, a friend. It doesn't have to be a work colleague or best friend or coach, just another person. When you're in the supermarket, have a chat. When you're at the, wherever you go to and people are around, some situations allow for the opportunity to speak up and people engage. You can engage with a stranger and get, lots of clarity in a situation. Perhaps not a personal one, but just, talking about life.
Kelly is a relationship coach that all three of us know. She's from Florida, and she's talked to us a couple of times about how she's standing in line at a supermarket, waiting for checkout, and ends up talking with the person in front of her or behind her, and a conversation strikes up, and it's just relaxing and enjoyable. And then out, obviously, two strangers, what do you do? Where are you from? That kind of thing. And when she says what she does, oftentimes business comes out of it too. So these breaks can turn into success stories, but they don't have to. And we're at the top of the hour, I think. We just flipped over, and we're going to wrap this up. Any thoughts on a topic for next week?
I was thinking, just from your story, what about security? We haven't really talked about security and how that's one of my personal core values, is feeling a sense of security.
Mm-hmm.
So safety, security. Okay.
Yeah, and security isn't just physical security, protective security. It can be being secure in self as well. So yeah, that's a very applicable topic. I Cass, you do it every week. I love it. I would not have come up with that out of my story, but yeah, I see where you got it from. Interesting. So next week's topic is a sense of security.
And I need to end on this quote: "The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause." Mark Twain.
Yeah, Mark Twain.
Nice.
Yeah. Samuel Clemens.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the panel for being here. We've really enjoyed today, and I hope those watching got value out of this. Please let us know if you like what we're doing, if you want to see some particular topic, or you would like a change in pace or presentation. We're open. We're going to be making some changes in the future, but let us know your input as well. It's valuable to us. We would appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.